Perfect. Welcome to Off the Ranch. We're back on the 2-engine, 6-wheeled go-kart today, the 4x6. Oh, it's gonna be good. So today my plan is to mount these to something and maybe mount these to something. I want the structure to be all mounted up, and then we'll start doing the smaller things, the cables, the lines, all that junk that is gonna be hard to figure out. Also, we had a great New Year's. I hope you did as well. I want to show you what happened to a few things out of my equipment, namely the GoPro and the Flamethrower. Sad day, sad day. But we'll get there in a minute. We gotta start here first and turn this thing into the biggest, baddest go-kart you've ever seen. That's my bracket, there to there. Bam. And then I'll have something that comes off of there that this thing has a bolt running through it, a little flange or something. Look, my welds are getting better. I mean, it's not great. It's not great, but it's a solid weld. It's gonna hold good. I can clean it up. I'm gonna paint them obviously later because it's all unfinished. That'll rust super quick. But yeah, this is maybe gonna work. So this thing will spring against it. So this is pushing this way, this will be pushing this way. I think that should be strong enough. If not, it'll break, and then I'll know, okay, it wasn't strong enough, and I'll re-weld it and make it stronger. I wish I was a good welder. But there's only one way to get better. Practice, practice, practice. And then pay someone to do it because you've tried 3 times and it didn't work. I messed up. I just now made a bracket, okay? Took the spring and shock on there. I made that little thing, but I forgot something. I forgot to preload the spring, basically. What I should have done is made this bracket a little longer and put a little bit of tension on the spring. And the reason being is because I want it to be pushing down more. Right now, this is as far, I just welded it in there, so it will come up. If it hits a bump, these wheels will come up. But if that one hits a bump, these won't stay down. If that hits a bump, that'll rise up. It'll also pick this up. Let me show you. This jack is under the axle, and when I start picking it up, that back wheel comes off the ground really fast. There's no sag. And so I want, if this thing goes up on a bump, I would love for that to sag down a little bit so that it still has traction and is still pushing. And so we don't just turn it back into 2-wheel drive. I want this thing to stay 4-wheel drive as much as possible. The problem is I just realized that after I welded up this bracket, so now I gotta get a grinder and come grind that apart and just basically extend this out. I wasn't thinking about that in this whole design. This will work, I just need to extend these out probably another couple inches. I'm gonna jack that up, let this hang a little bit, and then weld it. But I gotta extend it after I grind it and tear apart what I just spent half an hour making. Cool. Okay, got that all cleaned off. I made new brackets right here that I'm gonna weld on here. But first, I'm going to make the back hang a bit. Like, that much, I think. So that, I mean, it's not a ton, but it has a little bit of room to move back there. And then I'll come clamp that on there, weld that thing up, and then once I let this jack down, so that tire comes down and this one comes up compared to this one, it will preload that spring. So if this hits a bump, it'll preload it more. If this hits a bump, it will unload the spring. But either way, it can flex in both directions. Welded it up. So let's watch the spring as I take this jack down, watch the spring compress. Perfect. So yeah, I think that should work. Let's experiment. So we're driving, these wheels, that axle hits a bump. So this happens. Back axle is still on the ground, Right there it lifts off the ground. So it has a lot more time to kind of articulate. And then the back axle runs over the bump and it comes up. And the front axle is still on the ground, Now it's off. So this thing can come way up. Sweet, I think that's gonna work. I went ahead and just finished everything without you guys. I just decided you guys had been working hard, you've been putting in the time, enough time, and so I was gonna do the rest by myself. So let me show you what we got. I went ahead and did the other side, and then I painted everything. I put a crossbar here for support. So we have these coming up, that going down, this coming out, spring attached, a crossbar going all the way across here, and then we have mirrored image on the other side. Springs all hooked up, hooked down here at the bottom where the frame is hooked to the frame on a hinged joint there. So this whole thing goes like that, also down a little bit. I hooked this point down, so it's done. Well, the frame attachments are all done. Now I have to figure out how to make it work and turn on and push the Go-Kart. But I got the stuff that I was most worried, well, maybe. I think I got the stuff I was most worried about. I'm not super confident in my fabbing, but I like the way that all this fabrication turned out. I think it's pretty solid, pretty strong, and I think I know where all the forces are gonna be, and I have sort of reinforced them there. Maybe. I mean, if it breaks, I'll have to go back and redo it and build it stronger. Make Mark great again. But on another day, I will get this mess of cables and wires and hoses and battery. I've still got to do something with that. And I'll put this stuff all somewhere to make it work. But that is another day because I spent most of the day fabbing up this, and I'm actually really happy with it. I think it looks good. Let me show you the flamethrower. Okay, I've had this flamethrower, oh man, for probably about a year, and then it met its end. For those who don't know what happened, go check out the most recent Demolition Ranch video where we had the fireworks, and at the very end I played a bunch of extra clips. Like after the outro, I played a bunch of extra clips, and in one of them we're all sitting there talking, looking at the fire, and you hear this crunch, and I say, what did he run over?
Ooh, what did he just run over?
And then we all looked and we're like, I don't think he ran over anything. And then we later went and found my flamethrower totally demolished. So this is it. Crunched in the can up here, the canister, that's where the gas sits. Crunched that in. It broke off our barrel. So this is actually where it squirts and it goes through that barrel and it has a shroud on it. Totally smashed all that, bent it up, and yeah, it's pretty messed up. Smashed in the bottom. There's our battery plate that usually went on the bottom. Broke off our little starter bottle over here. Crunched that pretty good too. And when it was all said and done, we sat there and we were thinking, this was possibly the most dangerous thing we did. Even though we had 100-foot fire going up into the sky, shooting fireworks everywhere in all directions, really close to us, some over our heads, we ran over a flamethrower with a car and it bust open. One little spark and this thing would have gone kaboosh, all under the car. My dad was the one who ran this thing over too. It's not his fault. I left it sitting in the grass. I didn't think about him driving, and it's, camouflage color. So, but one little spark, and then boosh, all that gas. I'd only use a little bit. Probably, if this thing was totally full, which it was, I probably used about that much of it. So it had this much gas in it. I don't know if you know, but gasoline is flammable, and it would have gone boosh and just shot flames all underneath my dad's truck. And I don't know, could have been terrible, but luckily it didn't ignite. It just crunched my flamethrower. That is our only casualty of the fateful night of New Year's Eve 2018. Yeah, we smashed my flamethrower. Let's just have a moment of silence for our dear friend, the Flamethrower. Okay, may he rest in peace. Hi.
Hi.
Have you seen this yet? Did I show you that?
Oh, is this the one that got burned?
Yeah. I just showed them my Flamethrower. I also wanted to show you the GoPro that was a little too close to the fire. And you can see it's a little bubbled out there. It's not supposed to be bubbled there. Also, my hands are really dirty and nasty after being out in the barn all day. Still works. Yeah, which is crazy that it got heated up enough to bubble out that much. But everything else seems perfect on it. Did you like the New Year's celebration?
Yeah, it was crazy.
Do you think we can beat it next year?
I think if you do, you're gonna have to have enough fire department there.
Why? We had everything under control.
You did, but it could possibly have gone the other way too.
No, come on. You're such a scaredy cat. That was a piece of cake. Yeah, okay, if it would have been like a slightly windy or anything. Because it didn't even rain that morning.
It also was really wet.
It was, but the grass wasn't. Like, the dirt was mud. But the wind, it hadn't rained in like 8 hours. And so the wind had dried all the grass. And so that's why the grass was burning like it was. So yeah, it was... We need like a canyon that we could do all kinds of stuff. Tanks, bonfires. I just need to buy like a canyon, like a really big one, like a grand... Think about if we had the Grand Canyon, what we could do. That's where we're ending the vlog, in this dark room. Tomorrow, no, not tomorrow, 2 days from now, I have my 31-mile run. And I'm gonna bring a camera and I'm gonna vlog for you guys. Also tomorrow, I think I'm gonna try to vlog 3 days in a row. I kind of took a little break after like the holidays, and I was like, I'm gonna take a little siesta, a little family time. And so we kind of took a little time off, but we're back. I'm gonna go hard 3 days in a row. That's how hard I go. I'm a real vlogger. Someday maybe I could do like 7 days in a row. No, probably not. I try, but life's busy with kids, and I don't know how the everyday vloggers do it, but I try. I'm not gonna make it there. But for the next 3 days, you're gonna see my face, and it may be my failure face or maybe my success face in 2 days with the run. Wish me luck. All I'm doing for the next 2 days is carb loading. Thanks for watching Off the Ranch. I love you, and I'll see you next time.
Oh.
Hey, what camera is that? Number...
Shut up! Don't tell Mayor.